In this podcast, let's talk about the concept of attrition. We can see it in the framework of the invasion of Ukraine by Russian forces. At the beginning, the Russian forces told us that it was possible to invade Ukraine in few days or maybe a few weeks. But after many months, we realized that this objective was in fact a strategic error, and now we have a Russian failure. They wanted to use the attrition, or to be more precise, the attrition based combat against Ukrainian forces. But the problem is there is also attrition in Russia, in Russian forces. There are many frictions. We see the problem at the level of the battlefield, but we see it also at the level of the Kremlin. So the idea is how to use a concept against your enemy when this concept is already against you. We see in all these battles that the attrition which was made by the Russian forces was not relevant in this struggle, because at the beginning they wanted to do this very quickly, like blitzkrieg. They fail, and they use after that the concept of attrition to have some benefits, at least at the tactical level. But the problem is that their strategy has structural errors. And when they apply this strategy at the tactical level, obviously, is not efficient. So we can see that the attrition concept was an error as a choice for the Russian forces, because they do not thought what? That it was already present in their forces. So we see that at the first level in time, the velocity of the invasion avoid the concept of attrition. But after that, at the second level, we see that this attrition is a problem in the structure of not only the invasion, but also the war. Now, we can use it, especially in the winter, to force them to stop not only the invasion, but in fact the war. So, how can we use it? Attrition is a rather subversive concept in ideology, but we can use it in strategy. And we mean by that in strategy, if you convince, persuade your enemy that there is a very big cost to continue the battle, for him, after that, there is a choice. And the choice is, in fact, how to lose. What is the problem? Russian forces have already lost the war. The problem is how to announce this to Russian people, to Russia, and to avoid a big problem for Kremlin and, of course, for Putin. The idea is to convince Russian people that it's not exactly a failure, it's not exactly a defeat, but rather the end of an attempt to change something, that it was only the first step of the same ideology. So they have to convince them that time is with them. But of course, it's wrong, but it's already something like an exit from this war. They did the same thing in Afghanistan, and this didn't provoke any change. So the idea, if they want to keep the power, is to convince their people that they are continuing the struggle, but not in the same battlefield. At the end of the process, Russian forces have to withdraw from Ukraine. And we know that this is the future. But how they can explain this future in their strategy? They have to create a new model with a bigger duration in time to avoid the problems with their population. And we think that they already started this.